Hello grade 6s and welcome to your daily mathematics with WorksheetCloud. I hope you guys are well. We're going to get into our maths straight away today. This is what I've got lined up for you. The main topic is equivalent fractions and mixed numerals and improper fractions. So the start of our fraction section. And either side of that we've got the usual brain benders, mental questions and challenges. First up today is your warm-up activity, and your warm-up activity looks like this. So by now you should know that you need to work out the value of each symbol, including the pink question mark at the end. Right, good luck and off you go. Okay, I'm going to carry on there. Guys, if you haven't figured it out yet, then please press pause here. Work it out. It's really important for you to work these things out by yourself if you can. And then when you're ready to proceed, just press play and have a look and see how you did. Okay, but really try grapple with it, struggle through it, and you might surprise yourselves. Okay, so first of all, I know that the 36 is divided up into 3 groups. So that means each group is 12, because 36 divided by 3 is 12. Okay. So if 2 puffer fish are equal to 12, then the single puffer fish must be equal to 6. Okay. Then I'm going to have 8 multiplied by 6 is 48. Plus the additional 8 is 56. So there I had to do trial and error, and I tried different numbers to see what worked. So please don't think that the answers should pop into your head straight away. It's very, very rarely that happens. Right, so I know that the frog is 8, and it must be multiplied by something, and then added to 8 to give to me 80. So I know that 72 plus 8 is 80. So 8 multiplied by 9 is going to give me that 72. Okay, and then 2 frogs is going to be 16 multiplied by the 9, and then add the 12. Okay, and now 16 multiplied by 9, you can do the split method. You can say 10 multiplied by 9 is 90, plus 6 multiplied by 9 is 54. So add those together, you get 144, plus the 12 is 156. Okay, so another way you could have done that, and I just need to clear a bit of space, the 16 multiplied by 9, and I'll show you above as soon as that clears out. Okay, remember last week we spoke about the doubling and halving method. So I can halve 16 to 8. I can double 9 to 18. I can halve 8 to 4. I can double 18 to 36. I can halve 4 till 2. And I can double 36 to 72. Okay. And then 2 times 72 is 144. And then I need to add the 12, and that's going to give me 156. So there are those methods coming through that we spoke about last week that can make your life a lot easier, and you don't have to go and write down long calculations and run the risk of making a careless error. Okay, good. Right, so let's move on. Our mental maths for today is the following 5 questions. 14 multiplied by 25 multiplied by 4, and I'll give you a clue for that one, and the clue is order. Question 2, is 843 divisible by 3? So it'll be interesting to see if you can work that out without actually working out the entire calculation. So remember we did divisibility rules yesterday, so try remember and use that. Halve 1930 or 1930. Question 4 is 89 multiplied by 9. So again, thinking back to some strategies we did last week. And then question 5, what is the time? Okay. Again, a reminder that if you're not quite finished the 5 questions, press pause, work through them, and then play again when you are finished. Okay, so question 1, the clue was order. So there's a particular order that I think you should do this sum in. I personally wouldn't do 14 times 25 first and then multiply by the 4. Remember, the order of a multiplication sum makes no difference. Okay? For example, 1 times 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 2 times 1 is 6. 2 times 1 times 3 is 6. It doesn't matter, excuse me, what order you do that calculation in. Always ends up in the same answer, exactly the same as addition. So I would first do the 25 multiplied by the 4, okay, and that's going to give me 100. So I then have 14 multiplied by 100, and that's 1,400. Now that, for me, is a lot easier than going 14 multiplied by 25 and then multiplied by the 4. I've just done it mentally, whereas the other one, you would have to write it down. Okay, question 2 is 843 divisible by 3. And your divisibility rules for 3 says that if you add up the individual digits, so 8 plus 4 plus 3, which equals 15, if that answer, so here the answer 15, if that is divisible by 3, then 843 is divisible by 3. So therefore, it is divisible by 3. Half 1,930. So here you could say half 1,000 gives you 500. Half 900 will give you 450. And then half the 30, and that will give you 15. So if I add those all up, I get 965. Okay, 89 multiplied by 9. I'm hoping that you guys will go 90 times 9. And we know that 9 times 9 is 81. So 90 times 9 is 810. And there I've used the compensation method by adding an additional group of 9. So I must take off that additional group of 9 at the end. And 810 minus 9 will give me 801. Okay, so the compensation method there. In question 5, the time is 20 past 6, so the minute hand over there, okay, pointing at the 4, and we know each digit is worth 5 minutes, so 4 times 5 is 20, and the hour hand pointing almost in between 7 and 6, so it is almost halfway, so the time there is 20 past 6, which in 24-hour time, if it was in the evening, would be 18:20. Okay. Right, today we're going to look at fractions. And first we're going to look at equivalent fractions. Okay. So what are equivalent fractions? So the word equivalent, if you look at the first 4 letters, is the same as the first 4 letters of, first 3 letters of equal. So equivalent fractions are fractions that look different, but are actually equal to the exact same amount. Okay, so if you took an apple and you cut an apple in half, you would have 2 halves. If you took that same apple and you cut it into 4 pieces, and you put 2 pieces together and 2 pieces together, you've still got half an apple and half an apple, but now it's made up of 4 different pieces. Okay, so equivalent fractions at the bottom are underneath the table. I've given you that table there as a bit of a guide. It has asked what fractions are equivalent to 2/3. So if I go to my Jamboard and I have the same picture. There it is. All right, I'm just trying to get it a bit straighter for you. Okay. And they've asked us what fractions are equivalent to 2/3. So you can see that 2/3 is going to be this line over here. Okay, so as I go down, the other one that's in line with it is 1, 2, 3, 4/6. So we know that 2/3 is equivalent to 4/6. The other interesting thing to note is, how do I get from 2 to 4? I multiply by 2. And how do I get from 3 to 6? I multiply by 2. So whatever I do to the numerator, I do to the denominator, and vice versa. Whatever I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. Okay. The next question on that equivalent fraction list was, what fractions are equivalent to 3/4? Okay. So if I go back and I have a look at 3/4, all right, so 3/4 is over here. There it is, in yellow this time. So as I go further down, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3/4 is equal to 6/8. And again, to get from 3 to 6, I've multiplied by 2. And to get from 4 to 8, I have also multiplied by 2. Staying with that rule, whatever I do to the denominator, I'll do to the numerator, or the other way around. Okay, let's have a look at another example. The next example has said how many eighths are equivalent to 1/2. So give it some thought quickly before I switch over, and let's see if you guys can think of it before I show you the Jamboard on the other side. Okay, so I have, was it 1/2? Yeah, 1/2. How many eighths are equal to 1/2? So I look for 1/2, and here it is here. Okay, and here my eighths are over here. So I need to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know that 1/2 is equal to 4/8. So now if I look at that rule I showed you, I have to multiply by 4. And here I also multiply by 4. Okay, and the last one was, how many quarters are equivalent to 4/8? So I'll give you a couple seconds just to give that some thought before we go back to the Jamboard. So how many quarters are equivalent to 4/8? And if I look at 4/8, let's choose a different color this time. So if I look for 4/8, 4/8, 1, 2, 3, 4/8 is there. Okay, you can see that little red stripe at the bottom. And how many quarters is that? All right, so there it is. Okay, so I then know that there are 2 quarters in 4/8. And again, you can see that I must multiply the numerator by 2, and I must multiply the denominator by 2 to get the equivalent denominator in that fraction. So that's equivalent fractions, guys, and that is really all there is to it. So you could be asked to simplify fractions. So you might be given a larger fraction and asked to simplify it into its smaller equivalent fraction. For example, 4/8 simplified is 1/2. Or you could be given a simplified fraction and asked to write down some equivalent fractions. So I've got some practice for you to do. Okay, So you need to convert the following fractions into their equivalent forms. There are some clues there for you, okay, in the first four, and then the second four from E to H. Let's have a look and see if you guys can get those by yourselves. Okay, so I'm just going to put them up on the Jamboard quickly. There they are there. I'll give you a few moments. Okay, guys, so I'm going to carry on here. Please remember that if you're not finished with these examples, press pause, work through them, and then press play to see how you got on. So I'm just going to use the clues. You can see for A, the denominator of 3 has been multiplied by 4 to get to 12. And there they're showing you need to do the same to the numerators. So that's going to be 4 over 12. Okay, for B, the numerator is being multiplied by 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. So the same to the denominator. And that's 2 times 3 is 6. And then C, denominator has been multiplied by 3, so the numerator must be multiplied by 3, and that gives you 6. And then for D, the denominator has been multiplied by 5, and the numerator needs to be the same, and you're left with 15. So all of those fractions at the top, they are all different, but they are equivalent. So 1/3 and 4 over 12 look very different, but they are equal to the same amount. Okay, a half and 3 over 6, they are different looking, but they're equal to the same amount, and the same for C and D. Okay, for E, you needed to work it out for yourself. So in E, 3 has been multiplied by 3 to get to 9. So we therefore know that the numerator needs to be 3. F, 4 has been multiplied by 2 to get to 8. And then the top numerator needs to be multiplied by 2 to get to 2. Here, 3 has been multiplied by 5. So we need to multiply 4 by 5. And that's going to give us 20. And here, it's not multiply. 4 has actually been divided by 2. So we must therefore do the same to the numerator, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. You could have had a look at this and gone, okay, 2 has actually been multiplied by 2 to go in that direction. So what would be multiplied by 2 to get this 2 over here? And we know that 1 multiplied by 2 is indeed 2. Guys, that's equivalent fractions. Have a look at some homework that I've set you, which you can also access on WorksheetCloud. And there are quite a few examples there for you to practice this work that we're doing today. So you can just get those principles nailed down. Right, so the next type of fractions we're going to look at is mixed numbers, okay, and improper fractions. So mixed numbers are made up of whole numbers and fractions. So for example, I've given you 2.5. 2.5 is a mixed number, 2 is a whole number, and a half is a fraction. So when we put them together, they make a mixed number because it's a whole number and a fraction together, okay? Mixed numbers can also be expressed as improper fractions. That is when the numerator is bigger than the denominator, and they are called improper fractions. So 2.5 can also be written as 5 over 2. So now you might be asking, well, how does that work? How can 2.5 also be 5 over 2? Because 2.5 and 5 over 2 are indeed equivalent. So we're going to have a look at a couple of examples, okay? And and then hopefully you'll understand a little bit more. So I'll have a look at the example I gave you on the previous slide, and that said 2.5 was equal to 5/2. So I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to think, how did I get 5/2 from 2.5? Okay, so what I need to do here is I need to take the whole number, multiply it by the denominator, and that gives me 4, and then I add the numerator, which is 1. So it's 2 multiplied by 2, add 1, which equals your 5, and you keep the original denominator. But perhaps you still are not 100% sure. So if I write 2.5, if I drew that out, let's say I drew 1 square, another square, and another square. And that one was divided in half, and all three were divided in half. Okay, then I went and I shaded them in. So I'm hoping that you agree with me that I've shaded in 2 whole numbers and 1 half. Okay, and if I showed you them, there is 1 whole, 2nd whole, and that is the half. Okay, so how many halves have I got there? Well, I've got 1 there, 1 there, that's 2, 1 there, that's 3, 4, and 5. So I therefore have 5 halves. If you want to look at another example, if I have 3 3/4, so if I draw it for you first, and I divide them up into quarters. Why would you divide them up into quarters, you may be asking? Well, that's because the fraction is divided up into quarters. Okay? So remember, this 3 whole numbers here is actually 4/4 plus 4/4 plus 4/4, which is the same as 1 plus 1 plus 1, because 4/4 means 4 divided by 4, which is equal to 1. So that's how I get my 3 3/4 and why I've divided my shapes into quarters. So now if I shade them all in to show you the whole numbers, those are all whole numbers, so they've all been shaded, and I only get to shade in 3 of the last one. How many have I got? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Now my question to you is, what is 3 multiplied by 4? And I'm hoping you're telling me that it's 12. And what is 12 plus 3? And there it is, 15. And I always keep my original denominator because my shapes are divided up into 4. Guys, please go back and replay this if you need it explained to you again. All right. Alternatively, you can email me, and I will give you that email address again in a short while. But what's coming up next is your brain bender. Okay. So I'm going to flick over to that and let you have a go at working that out, and then we'll talk through it, and I'll give you your challenge to do before tomorrow morning. Right, here's your brain bender. Okay guys, so here is your brain bender on the Google Jamboard. it is quite a tricky one, so you probably will have to stop and work it out by yourselves before you carry on, and I encourage you to do so. Okay, so I'm just going to put in what I got, and feel free to carry on working out as far as you can until I put the missing numbers in, and we'll use yellow. Okay, so the light bulb is 0. Now you might be asking, how do I know this? It took me more than one attempt to work this out. So again, you got to try different numbers and see what works and see what doesn't work, and then find an answer that makes sense. And again, I encourage you to stick with it for as long as possible. The calculator is 1 because 1 times 8 at the top is equal to this 8 over here. And then the phone must be equal to 2 because 2 times this 8 over here is equal to the 16 at the bottom. Okay, then you know the tools are equal to 9 because 2 times 9 gives me this 18, and I'm talking about that 2. Okay, only 2 there. 1 multiplied by 9 at the top is equal to 9. So we know the tools are 9, so we know that we're correct there. Okay. We know that the money is 10. Okay, and again, I worked that out. So this one on the left-hand side times the 10 at the top is going to give me another 10 for the money. And then the target is going to be the only 2 on the board, which is on the bottom left, multiply the 10 at the top, and that's going to give you 20. Well done if you got that, especially if it took you more than one attempt. Okay, so there are your challenge cards for today. All right, 24. So you need to use the 4 numbers on each card and any operations to make the answer of 24. So you should have 3 different calculations which equal to 24, exactly the same as yesterday. And see if you can get all 3. Challenge someone in your house to see if they can get all 3. Maybe see how many different ways you can get 24, because there might well be more than one way to get 24. And we will go through those at the start of our next lesson. Guys, thanks very much for popping in today and having a listen to fractions. I hope this is helping you at home, giving you a bit of rest from the boredom that might be consuming your day, and helping you to improve in the areas that you need to improve on before going back to school. Have a great day, guys, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. All the best. Cheers.